On October 12, 1943, at 23,000 feet over the Rhineland, the B-17 Flying Fortress, tail number 42-3067, shuddered violently as a 20-millimeter shell struck its number 3 engine. Black smoke spilled from the cowling. In the cockpit, First Lieutenant Robert Hayes gripped the trembling yoke, trying to steady the bomber as its nose dipped downward. Behind him, Sergeant Mike Donnelly in the radio room watched in alarm as hydraulic fluid sprayed across the fuselage like blood. The aircraft was dying, and home, England, was still 140 miles away. Overhead and off to the right, First Lieutenant James Howell saw the hit. From the cockpit of his P-47 Thunderbolt, the Jersey Thunder, the 24-year-old New Jersey farm boy banked hard toward the stricken bomber. He had flown 72 missions and survived 312 combat hours. He'd seen what happened to stragglers, how the formation always pressed on. Standard procedure to protect the many at the cost of the few. Hayes knew it too. With 3 engines and diminishing altitude, the odds were bad. Howell keyed the mic. "Big friend, this is Jersey 27. I have you visual stay with me." "Jersey, we're losing hydraulics. Number 3's on fire. Can't hold altitude," came Hayes' terse reply. "Copy that. I'm not going anywhere." It was a promise Howell had no authority to make. He had 58 minutes of fuel left, maybe less. The bomber limped forward at 140 knots. England lay 90 miles away. The math didn't work. The day had begun at Thorpe Abbott's, base of the 100th Bomb Group. Hayes and his crew were on their 19th mission, targeting ball-bearing factories in Schweinfurt. Intelligence promised light resistance. Intelligence had failed spectacularly. Over 400 German fighters met the 320 bombers in a sky filled with violence. The P-47 Escorts gave what they could, but had to turn back near the border, fuel limitations. That's when the Luftwaffe swarmed. Hayes's bomber had taken a hit during the bomb run. Shrapnel from flak had torn through the fuselage. Eddie Martinez, the ball turret gunner, took fragments in his shoulder. Tommy Briggs, manning a waist gun, was knocked cold by a piece of shrapnel that dented but didn't pierce his helmet. Then the fighters came, 4 FW-190s diving out of the sun. Sergeant Paul Richter, the top turret gunner, downed the lead attacker, but 3 more pressed in. One cannon blast ended the number 3 engine. Now, drifting alone, Hayes fought to stay airborne. Morrison, his co-pilot, ran calculations silently. They could maybe make 160 knots on 3 engines. Altitude was bleeding at 200 feet per minute. Worse, without hydraulics, their defenses were faltering. The bomb bay doors hung half open, adding drag. "Skipper," Morrison said quietly, "we should tell them to bail out." Hayes hesitated. Below was occupied France. Bailing meant capture if they survived the drop. Martinez was wounded. Could he even pull a ripcord? "Not yet," Hayes said. Above them, Howell scanned the sky. He had 2,800 rounds left in his machine guns, enough for maybe 28 seconds of fire. Then he saw them, 3 BF-10-9s. Camouflaged and closing from the south, he surged forward, positioning himself between the bomber and the threat. The P-47's engine roared as he accelerated to intercept. Tracer fire stitched across the sky as he opened up on the lead 109 hits. The fighter's canopy shattered and it spiraled away. The other 2 pulled off, retreating. They'd expected a lone, easy kill. Instead, they found a killer with thunder in his guns. The bomber continued to descend, 22,000 feet, then 20,000. Howell checked his gauge, 42 minutes of fuel, still 90 miles to go. Hayes's aircraft dipped to 19,000. Then came another threat. 5 more fighters, this time in coordinated formation, approached from dead ahead. Howell didn't flinch. He surged forward again, firing at long range. He wasn't trying to kill, just break their rhythm. It worked. The formation shattered and Howell dove through their scattered lines, hitting 109 before it slipped away trailing smoke. He couldn't stop all of them. 2 109s made a run from the rear. The tail gunner fired, but his guns jammed. Howell pulled a brutal high G turn to intervene, pressing himself into the cockpit seat as the world grayed. He caught up, fired, and tore apart one enemy wing. The fighter folded midair and vanished into the clouds. That was enough. The rest fled. Hayes exhaled. "Jersey 27, you just saved our lives." No reply. Howell was checking his fuel. 28 minutes left. At 140 knots, England was still 38 minutes away. The bomber dropped below 16,000 feet. Physics weren't kind. 3 engines couldn't keep them up. Hayes did what he could, but the Fortress kept sinking. Then 6 more BF-10-9s appeared, diving fast. This time it was a kill squad. Howell didn't hesitate. He climbed, engines screaming, and opened fire to break their formation. Again, he disrupted the pattern, but couldn't stop them all. One fighter got through and raked the bomber's wing. Flames burst from the number 2 engine. Morrison activated the CO2 extinguisher. The fire died, but so did the engine. Now only 2 engines remained. Descent accelerated, 11,000 feet. The bomber wanted to roll left. Morrison looked at Hayes again. "We have to bail." Hayes shook his head. "Not yet. Jersey's still with us." And he was. Howell, bloodied and low on ammo, fought off another wave, even as rounds tore through his aircraft. One passed 18 inches from his fuel tank. He nailed another 109 with a wild deflection shot. The rest finally gave up. Back with the bomber, Howell saw 11 minutes of fuel left. The channel was still 42 miles away, 18 minutes flight time. Not enough. He called out, "Big friend, I'm going to have to leave you soon. Fuel state critical." A long pause. "Understood, Jersey. You've done more than anyone could ask." But Howell stayed, dropping to minimal throttle, leaning out the mixture, adjusting the prop for maximum range. Every trick he knew. The French coast appeared. German flak burst around them. A shell rocked the bomber. Briggs, now conscious, felt blood in his boot. Shrapnel wound, not fatal. They crossed the coastline, 6,000 feet. The channel spread before them, dark and cold. Howell checked his fuel, 5 minutes, still 28 miles to England. "I'm going to set her down close to you," Howell said. "We'll ditch together." "No," Hayes argued. "You can still make it back. Be a prisoner, but live." "Not leaving you," Howell replied. "We're going home together or not at all." The crew heard it. 10 men who'd accepted death now had hope. Down through 5,000 feet. Howell matched their descent. Fuel was nearly gone. At 3,000 feet, his engine coughed. Switched tanks. Maybe another 30 seconds, Hayes called for ditching positions. Inside, men braced, silent. Martinez, trying to escape the ball turret, struggled. 1,000 feet. Howell's engine coughed again, then died. The P-47 became a glider. Hayes flared the bomber at 400 feet. They hit the water hard. Metal screamed. Seams split. Spray burst into the air. The bomber skipped, skidded, and slowed. Inside, bodies slammed against restraints. Martinez never made it out. Water rushed in. Hayes and Morrison crawled onto the wing. The plane was sinking. Nearby, Howell's P-47 slammed into the sea. It flipped. Howell smashed into the canopy, stunned. Bloodied, half-drowned, he fumbled free, pulled the emergency release, and fought to the surface. He swam, dragged down by gear. Someone pulled him into a raft. Hayes looked down at him and said, "You crazy bastard, you actually did it." They counted heads, 11 in total, 10 crew, 1 pilot, 1 man missing. "Where's Martinez?" Hayes asked. Silence. "He didn't make it," came the quiet reply. 9 saved, 1 lost, the math of war. 18 minutes they floated, cold, shivering, waiting. Then the RAF rescue boat arrived. Hayes made sure Howell went aboard first. "This man stayed with us for 90 miles, Hayes told the rescuers. "He fought off 20 fighters. ran out of fuel, ditched with us. He saved 9 lives today." The British captain looked at Howell, soaked, bloody, trembling, and nodded. "Well done, Yank. Well done indeed." 3 days later, Howell received the Distinguished Service Cross. Hayes and his crew stood at attention as the medal was pinned to the chest of the man who'd refused to abandon them. Years later, when asked about that day, Hayes simply said, "We were dead. Everyone knew it. Then that pilot decided we weren't. That's not courage. That's something beyond courage." James Howell went home after the war, quiet, private, and humble, never talked about his medal. But every Christmas until his death in 1998, he got cards from 9 families. Families who lived because of him. One pilot, one choice, 90 miles of hell. A legacy of brotherhood that no one forgot.